And call this budget workshop to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Sestovny.
Here.
Councilperson Yon.
Here.
Councilperson Maples.
Here.
Council President Gill.
Here.
Councilperson Ellis.
Here.
Let the record reflect that Councilperson White, Councilperson Hawkins, Councilperson Owens is running late, and Councilperson Samuel is absent due to being out of town.
Yep, and we do have a quorum. So since some of them are running late, I thought we would just start with, we'll run through City Council's budget and the clerk's budget. City Council's budget is on page 6. As you all know, all the department heads, and of course Vicki, the council, we got, they all get budget worksheets that they have to fill out. Is that the official term, budget worksheet?
Yeah.
That they had to fill out and turn back in to find their budget. And so I came in and Vicki and I sat down and we feel pretty good about the council's budget. We looked over the additional appropriation, anything we really didn't have other than insurance. And we did contact all the insurance travelers and Humane, all about our premiums. We think they're what we've
All
got.
but workers'
everything.
comp.
Yes, everything's covered, but we're a little concerned about workman's comp. So I'll let Vicki explain what's going on there.
Our 2016 audit that was just done for our workers' comps is $60,000 that we're going to have to pay to travelers for that. In saying that, last year our workers' comp's budget was $475. I've talked with Lisa and I even talked with Les a little bit because what also is going to drive those audits each year is if new employees are hired, new public safety, that's where a lot of the cost comes in, is new public safety officers and new employees. So I'm requesting that we change that number from 475 to 500,000. As it is of right now, I think we would have, if everything works out okay, we should be maybe have a savings of 4,000 at the most as of right now. But something could fluctuate in between then for this year. So with the anticipation of the audit next year, and like I said, also we have to anticipate new hires will also add to our workman's comp premium. So that's really the only change. Today, Lisa and I did it. I contacted under property and casualty, the insurance premiums, not the premiums, the casualty, which is
Claims.
Claims. I lowered that to 150. I still think that we'll be okay. We get a lot of claims through that are, I guess you would call them kind of a tort claim through the insurance companies, and also wrecks that we have that we notify the insurance company, because I believe our deductible is $25,000. It's between $20,000 and $25,000 on our deductible. I had a list that I wanted to clarify with them. Some of them had stemmed back to 2014. As of right now, according to Travelers, we have 2 left, and both of them are tort claims. One is a suit from this year, and one is a suit from 14 that is still pending. So I think we'll be okay with that. I don't anticipate any change in that, because we're, like I said, it shows here that we've only used 50, but we've used a lot more than that. I will tell you that at this point in time.
And we bumped up the health insurance.
Yeah, to 1.5.
Yeah, to be safe with talking with, we've talked quite a bit with
Joe Olson.
And looking at what appropriations we had to do this year and all. So
We did get a renewal offer or renewal?
I have not heard anything.
Ed, I never get the renewals. All I'm told is how much to pay into it. And I noticed each year, we didn't budget, last year they only budgeted 4.5. We actually had like 5.5 in our budget and it got cut last year. And I believe so far our premiums have been close to 6 million.
So we're budgeting 6 million for next year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I think there's probably some more money left in that non-reverting. I think there's I just did you all had just recently done an additional for 1.5 million.
Right.
We already had 1.25 million in the budget
So that'll be
in
some
there,
carry-
so now we,
carry forward.
yeah, so now we got 1.25. But other than that, I think it's pretty well, and like Lisa and I said with Jerry Rock, he feels like the 960,000 is pretty close on target for our premiums. But then again, we really won't know till January or December. But
Did
he
we-
feels like we're pretty well on target.
Did we like drop a subscription? That's why it reduced by $4,000 in our budget.
Where?
It's the third line from the bottom.
You all didn't,
Budget.
Oh, yeah, we don't have, we never, that's all.
you all didn't use that much
Yeah.
out of subscription and dues.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It had been budgeted for 12, and you
Yeah.
can see you only, so far, and
Yeah,
this,
we
and
went
this
out-
activity since June is only
Yeah, that was
3,800.
June, so I wasn't sure if maybe something hit.
That's
No.
what, we went line by line, and we compared what we spent last year and what, so we wanted to
Yeah,
keep things in line, and if we
Yeah.
didn't use it, reduce it.
because I see the 11.9, okay.
Yeah.
Do we use that for National League of Cities to be a member there? Is that
Both,
part of it?
National League
Oh,
and
yeah.
also
Well,
for
Ames.
Okay,
Ames.
Perfect.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
I noticed that in the, I can't, what is it, Ames?
Yeah.
Aim, yeah.
Accelerate
I know, I keep
municipal,
wanting.
accelerate
The
Indiana
Association of
municipalities.
Indiana,
Yeah.
I thought.
Are we supplying
But
financial
accelerate.
data to them so that we're part of that pool? Do you know? Because I don't think we did.
I supply data to them when I am requested. I know that our salary survey is never submitted.
I mean, it was at one time, and then it's
It
been
hasn't
years
been
ago.
for past since 2012 that I know of.
Because I think that's something we should do. And if you guys have ever seen that information, a number of cities provide financial information about salaries for everything, police officers, elected officials, number of employees per population. It's a good way to reference where we fit compared to everybody else. Maybe we're overspending, maybe we're running more efficiently than other cities and towns. But it's a good way to judge our payroll, our efficiencies, our number of employees, and what our compensation is compared to a lot of other cities. So that's one thing we should definitely do that.
If you want me to email it to you all, I do have that salary survey. I get it every year. I request it if y'all like to have it.
That information, they're doing the work, because whenever HR uses that Liz Gross, that's the first thing she does is check other cities and to compare.
Population
Mhm.
and everything.
You know, when we talk about number of police officers per thousand, that's one of the things I look at to compare us to, some cities in Indiana. But
I'll email it out to y'all
Well-
tomorrow.
do we have to just request that, or do we need to make an ordinance so it happens? I mean, I think it's valuable to provide that information, because I know we look at it, I know I do at least, when I'm trying to make decisions or which way I'm going to vote on certain
I think other
issues.
municipalities would benefit from it as well.
Yeah, I'm
you
sure
know.
they would.
Whenever it's sent through in a, it's sent through an email to all municipalities, and I always copy HR and finance on it. When I receive it, just to double check that they also have it, because I
So-
know we have,
So they're just not providing it, they don't think that's important.
as far as I can't answer a question, I just know it's not done.
Does the council think that that's something that needs to happen?
I think so. I think it's very beneficial.
Okay, I'll follow up with that and make sure that it happens, and if they don't want to do it voluntarily, we'll just try to put an ordinance or something to make it happen. But I'm sure that they will if we just talk to them. I hope they will. I know it takes a little bit of their time, but I think it's valuable to see that data, and we should provide our data too.
Yeah. Huh?
Wow.
So I'll send you all
15
out
minutes.
that survey.
Yeah. So is it, y'all have any more questions on the council's budget, or
So is it a matter of us?
or
to make-
are you all in agreement and
Ask
okay?
us for it, and then we supply it, but
Yeah.
our finance department hasn't been supplying it.
Gotcha.
So you all are in agreement for upping that 500,000 in the workman's comp? I think that's the only change we're making
I
then.
think it would just.
You have that, Yvonne? We're upping the workman's comp insurance from 475,000 to 500,000.
I'm sorry, and did you mention where that's going to come from?
It'll just have to be put in the budget.
Yeah.
Or it'll have to be added to the general fund. There's no place to take it out of.
So it'll just take from whatever surplus we would have had from the general fund. Right.
Yeah, the
Because
25,000.
we're adding $25,000 to the
yeah.
total here. Right. So, I mean, it would just come from whatever would be left over in the general fund.
Well, we should have an increase next year, just our general increase between our budget increase. I don't know what the percentage is going to be,
Right.
3% or?
Right. And it's
Yeah,
insurance,
we
it
have
has to
that
be paid.
Yeah.
So,
We have an increase in here, I just,
Yeah.
so like that's fine, we can keep going.
yeah.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I mean, if we don't have enough money, it's going to have to come out of someone else's request.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, so like our estimated revenue we have here, I'm looking at the first page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we've got the increases here, and then, so we're looking at 31.7, right? I'm looking in the right place, from our general fund.
Yep.
And we're expending, let's see, so it looks like we have a revenue of 14,616. Is that what's the remaining? Did you just hand it out?
What the total council budget will be.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now we're 496 negative balance?
Correct.
And we're wanting to add 25,000 to that line item? Am I understanding that correctly?
It's going to be about 1,454,600, or 461. Just be at 25, just, I don't mean it'd be just, but it is $25,000.
Yvonne, is that number, that 496, that's like with all of that we have budgeted? That's what the balance would be? Am I reading that correctly?
This is Vicky's budget.
The-
She's going to be
the far
talking about
right
here
column.
shortly. And these have to replace what pages are in your book now. These are new.
Okay.
And just take those out and throw them
And
away.
with the expenditures that we are proposing?
We're going over city council's
Okay.
budget.
And that's not including the 25,000 that we're, okay. Okay.
Okay. Any more questions or anything on city council's budget before we move on to city clerks? Okay, let's move on to clerks, which is page 9 of 30.
I handed you all out a sheet too to show you what I had. And I had amended my budget after the last council meeting, and it's, you may want to show it to Scott. It still is, from what I had budgeted to what you all had was a $31,000 savings. Just not a savings, difference between my 17 budget and my 18. After revisiting and amending, it is a almost $13,000 reduced in budget instead of an increase. The main things are on here is, I wanted it to reflect, but anyway, we'll be changing the traffic clerk's name, or the ordinance violation clerk's regular. And here, you all show $36,524 salary. It actually was in their last year's second deputy. Should have been ordinance violation because we changed the title last year. That is the one where the error was made. They had her at 38,000 and we had to do the reduction, if you all recall. So this is the correct number. The only other thing significant in here, my training, I increased it from 25 to 3. I'm on the executive committee of the Clerks League, and also with AIM, I'm on the legislative committee. So if you want to leave it at 25, that's fine. And then my subscriptions and dues, I increased it by 500 because I'm a member of the International Clerks, and I usually pay the 500 out of my own pocket. And with knowing that the other departments, they were putting things in, so I increased that into 500, so I wouldn't, you all deem so to let me pay it since it is the International Clerks Association. Basically, that's it.
Anybody got any questions for Vicki? Even with the changes, then you're still below last year's budget,
Yes.
reduction of 13,000.
So, okay. I'm just trying to, again, I want to make sure that we're looking at what the net increase is, just so that I can see the funds that we're supposed to pull from, so. I don't really have a question, I'm just talking out loud.
Now, this doesn't even show encumbered for this next year, does it? Not. We don't know what our encumbered balance will be. For sure.
Oh, not on the
Yeah, see, what isn't, we still have money that will be encumbered from one year to the next. And usually at the end of the year, I do encumber quite a bit of money. Back over the general.
There was a couple different departments that had kind of the same thing. You may not know the answer to this, Vicki. The computer software maintenance fees look like they've been reduced by a lot of people, and it's a significant amount of money. How is that going down? Can you speak to that?
They made a
On mine
one-time-
I can,
Okay.
because one of the things on mine is, prior, I had to pay for their portion of it also. Since we have the Ordinance Violation Bureau, and we're using the same software, it cut it around $2,000 to $3,000.
Okay.
So a lot of it might be, some of it may be, instead of buying it new, it might just be the upgrades that they're paying for, instead versus the initial costing of some, putting it in. And also some of it may be being taken care of by IT department also. But I noticed, there was a substantial savings in court works from prior to, which was around 7,000. I think we paid, 3,000, and that's our yearly maintenance too. So anything, any upgrades, any changes, it's all covered in there. And that's really the only program I use, because our copier, we have the PDF software in it. Purchase. And then my Laserfish too. I have a yearly contract now with Laserfish. And each year it seems to be going down quite a bit. We went so many years without renewing it, and then when we went to upgrade it, we couldn't upgrade because we owed them like $40,000, $50,000 because nobody ever paid it.
Cell phone, I wonder what that too.
Any more questions concerning city clerk? If not, is everybody fine now with her?
I just want to make a note that, so this is from my math, and it could be wrong. So this would be just an extra $11,611.61 that would need to come from the general fund. So when I'm, again, looking at the 25,000 and then this 11,600 that are coming from a fund that has negative 496, that's going to have to come from somewhere. So I just wanted to make a note, because we're adding additional expenditures to general fund.
We'll be adding and subtracting throughout the whole thing. I think that's why I said, Yvonne, you're getting all this, because they'll keep this.
11.6 is for.
So in the original clerk's budget, there was a deduction of, so it was originally going to be a negative balance or a decrease of $24,157, and now it's just a decrease of $12,545.
That's been adjusted in the new total there.
Okay, so that's already been taken care
The
of.
only
Okay,
thing that hasn't been taken care of
Was
under
that
the new sheet is
25,000?
the 25,000.
Yep.
okay.
Okay, so sounds like everybody's fine now with your clerk. So we'll go back, let's go back to the front here, and we'll just run down real quick from the general fund, go back to page 1. And you want to just kind of like follow along here. I think the mayor's budget, the only thing that is, he had a decrease in his cell phone and then up the promotion a little bit, right? Went from 13,600 to 15,000. So there really wasn't much difference in the mayor's. So I think we're all pretty much be okay with
It went from 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
Yeah, look at the-
Oh, I was looking at the activity. Yep, you're right. I was looking at the wrong one. So,
Do we have an updated copy of that? Am I?
It's the same.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying different from this. I'm sorry. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so I think mayor's budget would be okay, and law, Heather, what did he, you don't have anything highlighted, so I don't think he really made any significant changes, so his should be,
Is the lease, underneath the mayor, is the lease payment, is that for the car?
yes. Well, no, that's out of edit. That one's for his,
It's probably for the
for
coffee.
copier. Yes. That's right, his car comes out of edit.
So, okay, so the lease pay, the number .005, or .016, that 4,200 requested budget, that's for a copier.
I think they've received a new one.
Yep. Okay, any questions on the mayor or law's budget? Then we'll move on to page 2. Now, this one is, remember, they're changing the name of his department to Public Works / Engineering. And I believe he was asking for a new laborer, correct, Yvonne? No, okay.
He's asking for.
He's asking for a general laborer, and he's also asking for,
Electrician.
yes, because right now, I think Parks and Engineering shares the engineering. And then moving the arts administrator under Public Works and Engineering.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess that brings us to, we need to have a conversation about, just kind of get the feeling where everybody stands on these new employee asks. Anybody have any?
I'm assuming both of these positions, from the money, that they're both full-time with benefits, the whole deal?
I'm not sure about the general
What,
laborer.
I knew that just in the past budget, I can't remember if that was last year or the year before, with all the increase in the parks activities and stuff, I know that he was using Jeff more and more, but we just gave more in his contractual services where he just contracted that electrical work out. So I guess you just got to weigh the option. Does it benefit having another electrician? That's why I like the department heads to be here so we can ask them.
Well, I think the question Scott's asking is just if that salary is going to full-time versus part-time. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, because you can add, I don't know what it is, by the time they get all the 10, 15,000 more somewhere else in the budget for every full-time employee. So it's not that you're adding 46,000, you're adding probably closer to 60,000.
That's right. Yep, and that's what, and remember the money, like what she brought about workman's comp and all that, it changes all of that numbers in the budget because we're adding
So,
to that, our policies.
What is the general laborer position? Do we know what it's?
He said he's gonna split it, that labor, that usually their laborers are paid out of the drainage department, and they're used strictly for drainage. He wanted to use this labor to help Doug when he's out in the field surveying, help if, because it was the Parks Department had people that were helping Dawn, they can help construct and things or whatever for that. And
Doug in engineering?
Hmm?
Who's Doug?
oh, I don't, what's Doug's last?
Doug does
Doug does-
a lot of the, he's the CAD operator where he's done the majority of the drawings
So
for
is
the
he Stewart?
parks. Yes, he's done like
But he's under,
Allison Brook.
No,
and
he's
all that.
under engineering.
he's under
He's
engineering.
always has been, yes. He does a lot of the design work. He did a lot of design work for Duffy's Landing and Allison Brook Park. I
And
mean,
then he
he's
does all the
very
surveyor
knowledgeable.
work too before they go around.
Usually he'll grab Kevin Fetter to help him, which is our stormwater coordinator, but Kevin is getting more and more busy and doesn't.
One of the things that I'd like to note is that every time you add another employee, that employee is on the list for perpetuity. It doesn't go away. Contracts will go away. You may want to think about that before we add in some more employees.
Do we add anything additionally other than salary for when we look at hiring a new position? Do we build in any health insurance costs or like anything like that? Or is it only adding the salary?
It's only the salary.
Yeah, we only approve the salary, but then,
I was just curious if we
So we just gotta eat
like
it as it goes.
strategically thought about that when we're adding positions. We just
Well,
deal
in
with it later.
positions like this too, I mean, I'm not a workers' comp person, but I'm sure when you add a general laborer to the Public Works Department and a system electrician to the Public Works Department, that does more to your workers' comp than does an office assistant. Yeah.
And that's why when Lisa and I do the budget, we always check with workers' comp, travelers, Jerry, and all those for that, and also
Well, yeah,
with the
30
health
grand, you're not
insurance
making, you're making
to make sure
a little over
to
minimum.
always increase the amount of the new employees, because I think it's around, you can estimate between $15 to $20,000.
and it's, I mean, sometimes the liability insurance is a factor, payroll's a factor of liability insurance. And then if you have any other equipment or
Well,
vehicles,
the general laborers don't make
that
that.
usually comes along.
Yeah.
Now, if he wants to move him up,
585 a week.
which, huh?
We're just figuring,
Oh.
almost 15.
Oh,
So, Yvonne, all of the, I know we've been being asked for new employees in Public Works. I know that Nathan Pruitt's asking for a new employee. I know Parks is asking for several new employees. Who else is? Fire Department, and also vehicle maintenance. So I guess we just need to have a general conversation about how do we want to handle new employees. When I say that, because in the past we say that we don't want new employees until after circuit breakers, or no new employees, or allow them all of them. You all agree with the new employees in the budget, but those are decisions we need to make.
Yeah. I'm just looking, you got part-time and full-time in fire.
yeah, I mean,
What was the freshman getting part-time on the fire? At the front?
For, for the minister, and
Assistant.
basically what they said, if she goes on vacation, is really the only, and then if, I guess she's looking at retiring, that they would get somebody in there to be trained for when she retires. I personally don't think that warrants a new employee, but I'm just one of 9.
It's weird to me it goes from 30,000 in general labor to a part-time employee of $30,000.
Well, I thought that the fire put the 30,000 just as a number because they knew they wouldn't go over that number. I don't think they like tabulated, this is
Okay.
what this person's gonna cost, is the way I kind of
But then
Thought that they did
go
that.
to this is what's in there, that's what it's gonna cost.
Wise beyond your years.
I can give you my opinion, 'cause I'm just one of 9, but out of all the positions that are being asked for, I guess the only one I'm sympathetic for is planning and zoning. Now, maybe if a department head was here to make an argument for some of the other positions, and I might reconsider, but for me personally, I understand the planning and zoning, the growth has been so much, and there's been incredible, like, long-range type planning as far as streetscape and signage and tree walk and all the other things that are going on between downtown and out east. I could kind of see a need for the planning and zoning. The other ones, I guess I'm not so inclined to go for, at least at this point, since you're asking for opinions.
And I already gave my opinion even to the administration, and basically, if bringing on new employees, that was basically the one that I was advocating for, because that was asked for the beginning of, or the end towards last year, but the way that they want to structure that is, it makes sense to me when I went in Friday and had a conversation with Nathan, and I know that that position is strongly backed by the administration.
Which one?
That Nathan, the planning and zoning.
Well, I would assume, again, I'm assuming that the budget that the administration has proposed to us it's all strongly supported by the administration. That's why they're presenting it this way. That's what I would imagine, that they're not gonna, they made cuts in other areas to pay for salaries, so that's probably why that was deemed as a priority, but maybe that's wrong. I'm sure
Well,
that
I
there are
think-
some positions that are
Of course, Les isn't here.
prioritized
but
higher than others, but
employees that were asked if there was money in the budget, they just put it in the budget.
No, we have some.
Okay. Good. Glad you clarified that.
It's unusual for the mayor to put it
I
on
know
our
it's
backs to say.
Off topic.
yeah.
This is a little jumping all over the place. Did I hear that we were going to add board pay for the building commission or the building authority?
That's in their budget.
Okay.
That's a separate budget.
Okay.
That's not tax money.
Yeah.
And what that is their board members were never paid.
Yeah, I know they were paid zero, which I think they should be compensated.
Yeah.
But that is going in effect next year,
If you all
if we approve, that's
Yeah.
proposed, okay.
Mhm.
It's on page 27,
Okay.
but it's basically they're non-reverting.
Yeah, so there are 1, 2. Is there 4 positions being added to parks? Seeing the assistant superintendent, page 14. I know they're moving one general laborer to a skilled laborer, so that stays the same, right? Then the aquatic center manager, I guess that's an increase in pay. And then the crew leader maintenance for the green team, green space.
Mhm.
So that's 3, right? The green
I think
space,
so,
the 2 that wash each other out,
yeah.
the aquatics, and the assistant superintendent.
Actually, I have a note here that the aquatics is a shift from 209 to 204, so. Okay, so I think they were paying for half out of Fund 209 and half out of 204. So that's actually the same too. Okay, so it's just 2 positions. I'm trying to get a sense of what the total, how many positions are being added.
So moving forward, do we just want to address the employee, do we want to have a conversation about, I know I expressed my thoughts, and I know Ed did, about new employees, or do we just want to address them and work down the budget and do it by, address them with each department? How do you want to handle new employees?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to have a list of all the proposed new employees, and then when we have specific questions about the positions, we reach out to department heads, but again, I just want to know.
Hey Les, I know you're trying to get settled in, but what we were discussing the Public Works position, was that engineering that, yeah, I think the title is Systems Electrician. That's for a full-time position, correct?
Full-time electrician,
Yes,
yes.
okay. And the general labor was also for full-time too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Other than decide on the new employer, are you all okay with the budget that he has?
With who, which one?
We're on the Public Works and Engineering on page 2.
So there's 2 there. Yeah, we can move on. I think we'll. I think we can move on, but know that we need to discuss it more.
So we can discuss, we can either schedule for another time, we'll just do a quick run through all the budgets then. Police, I think the only thing that really caught my eye was the increase in their overtime.
Does that include like special
Mhm.
So that doesn't
Well-
come out of parks doesn't budget for that?
Nope.
We have an
Now
overtime
there-
special
yeah.
events.
There is an overtime and then an overtime special events line item in their budget.
I know one that both, when I talked to Chief Kavanaugh and Chief Hedrick, they didn't budget enough, one that was Abbey Road. So I think a lot of the increases in overtime that we would see this year.
Steamboat days may have canceled.
Well,
some of
yeah,
that
we
out.
canceled that, so that'll,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But anticipated on being a next year. This year, that may have canceled some of the. Does the park pay for the police and fire overtime?
no.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
We suggested, and I mean, and we've talked that we have a sponsorship program going on that we get a lot of events that maybe that should, yeah, but that's more of a conversation for Parks Authority than for us.
The parks actually hires a security firm to come and do overtime, and my question has been, why don't, if you're gonna pay somebody, pay our police rather than hiring a security firm to do that?
Mhm.
One of the things we need to realize when Parks signs contracts and does things, it affects police and fire and other departments, and it goes into overtime a lot of times. So there is a cost associated, not just the contract cost, but other operating costs within our budget.
And the stuff in the police that you do see highlighted, that was where that they adjusted for the contract, which it reflects the HSA contribution and the 457 match. So to say now, if you don't have any question, we'll move on to fire, because police are not asking for any additional police officers. Which,
Okay.
So in the police department, when you add it all up, The increase over prior year is 800,000? Is that what it says? Is that what that last line, that one item is?
802.
102,155.
Seems pretty big to me. But I understand where the moving parts are, I mean, but that's a lot.
Yeah. Police salaries are 200,000 alone. Yeah. The HSA is 88,000.
Well, but the HSA, this is one of the HSA, we will be saving in another place because of the insurance on that, because those policies don't cost as much. So that number should be I mean, you're still looking at, even at that,
As well
a
as
very
the
large
buyback.
number.
I see there's buyback pay
And as
Yeah.
well as the
match,
buyback
yeah.
money. And then one that I don't understand is the buyback of the sick days, I assume is what that is, the buyback pay. They didn't get to use their accumulated sick days to sell them in, because now, it used to be sick days were cashed in at 2-to-1. Now they're 1-to-1. But it's only for days that accrue this year forward. So I don't know, 126, I'd just like to have an explanation as to $126,000 more. There can't possibly be that many sick days being bought back at 1-to-1. So I would like an explanation of that number, not saying it's anything nefarious, I just don't understand how that could be so large.
You know, you're bringing that up from a point that, you know, I didn't know last May that the buyback program had been instituted. It used to be, if you didn't take it, you lost it, you know, you could go. So, for instance, like in my budget this year, I didn't budget for 2017, nor did I budget for 2018 for people who wanted to buy back their days. They didn't want to take their vacation days. Quite a bit, and I don't think we do that for any budgets.
Dollars, this is,
Just police and fire did
yeah,
it.
this is just under the contracts.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, we still have that buyback program for all
Yeah,
programs.
but it also says that it's, you only get buyback if
Yeah, 'cause you brought that all up before when we had.
In case anyone's interested, so there's an addition of 8 positions in this budget. It's 2 from Public Works, 1 from Vehicle Maintenance, 1 from Planning and Zoning, 2 from Fire Department, and 2 from Parks. Just the salaries alone, $322,500. So in terms of new employees, that's what's being proposed in this budget.
Do we know, what's the insurance cost when somebody adds a family plan? Do you happen to know what that is there? What's the city pay on that? What's for one unit? Does anybody know?
about 15,000.
15,000. And does that include their what, $1,200 contribution as well? So it's really 16,000, right?
Yeah.
Times 8.
Times 8. So that's another 120,000, not including workers' comp.
Right. Yeah. So,
That isn't factored in the budget, if I'm understanding the way we do this. That is not reflected anywhere.
that's how I understand.
Okay.
So then the total additional for both of the overtime line items is 125,000. That's going to increase
You're talking about the police?
overtime. Yeah.
Yeah.
100,000 just in their overtime, and then special projects, the 25,000.
Did we discuss the 75,000 increase in contractual services? Have we discussed that yet?
In which?
In police?
Mm-mm.
It's in the middle of the page on page 3. It's contractual services. It's going from 75,000 to 150,000. I wasn't sure what contractual services that might be. I'll make a note of it.
Mhm.
I did some of the contracts.
I'll ask.
I know some of them are for the radio, some of them are for the
I'm trying to think that
World
New
News
World.
Events, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
New World.
New World, the radios.
Yeah.
Well, they
Okay.
contract out cleaning of the building and maintenance of the building.
Maintenance of the building, and those contracts I don't have. But I do have a list of contracts, copier machines.
I do see where we went over, in our actual, but just curious.
Yeah, because so far I've written down police to ask about the 126,000 for the buyback and now the 75 for contractual service. I'll just send an email out and copy everybody.
It's just a big number. What's expected to increase.
Anything else in police that we need to look at or question before we move on to fire?
The police, refresh my memory, we added the police chaplain,
Yes.
Yeah, that was already done.
but what is his status, what is his employment status? Is
He's
he
part-time.
is a part-time employee of the police department?
That's correct.
Okay,
He was contractual, and then they
and now he's
wanted to
part-time.
make it part-time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He got paid $1 a year.
Okay, then we'll move on to the fire. Like I said, keep in mind, they're asking fire is wanting to move that, he's currently under, employee that's currently under vehicle maintenance. They're wanting to move under them to work on the fire trucks. So they're asking for that, and then they're asking for that, I guess it's called an part-time executive assistant. Administrative assistant. They're not asking for any new firefighters, so I guess, which I haven't heard it, but I know that they're in talks with River Ridge to see.
About new apparatus.
Fine.
So I think that's why they're not asking for anything to see how that all works out.
What's the additional cost that goes with that fire apparatus mechanic? I mean, once you get the mechanic, what's going to be the additional cost as providing him with a garage and providing him with equipment and everything to do the maintenance on the fire?
I think he would continue to work out of the city garage, but just in capacity for the fire department solely is how it was explained to me, which he's already established there.
So this is moving from maintenance to fire?
Yes.
Did I understand that correctly?
So are they,
So
is
this is
this,
not
is
a
this
new
being
position?
prompted by, there's a problem with not getting fire stuff fixed at the expense of some other vehicle in the city?
I don't know.
I know that the employee, she's under vehicle maintenance. I know he's gotten the training to work on the fire trucks. I know it's saved the city money with not sending them out for repairs. And then also it's been beneficial because usually when they send an apparatus, you have to take it out of service. It'll be out 2 to 3 days, where now it's out, the amount of time that it's out of service. But that's all occurring now, so I really don't know what the benefit would be to pull it under the fire department, other than they would have total access, that he wouldn't, I guess, just concentrate on fire department and wouldn't be doing stuff for other department, is what I'm,
But on the other position,
But I'm
for vehicle
assuming-
maintenance.
And how long would it be before he would have to have an assistant to help him, because vehicle maintenance is not going
That's
to
what it
take
is.
one of their
That's exactly what
persons
that is.
and put over with the fire department apparatus to help him. And what happens if there's something that happens and the vehicle maintenance supervisor has a problem with the fire department working on vehicles in that garage? And
So because the vehicle maintenance is asking for an additional diesel mechanic. So basically this employee is moving to fire, and then vehicle maintenance is asking for an additional diesel mechanic. So,
that's what my question is he asking for this, yeah, so we need to clarify that.
because it sounds like maybe if there's full-time work for the fire, then that might be what's prompting him to move over and then for them to hire an additional employee, but it
We
seems like
always
this.
had one specific, last when I was on the council. That's when we first came in with this mechanic, strictly that was his first job, for
I think both police and fire take priority.
Yes, but it was under vehicle maintenance. That person that was there, and then if they didn't have any fire truck apparatus or anything.
Okay,
fire department,
then they did.
Police, then they did other work.
So maybe there's a lot of other work that needs to be
who's
done.
going to
to
oversee
warrant
them
another.
to see that to tell them that they'll have to do other work. So
Okay.
Well, that's what my point was, Ron. If they're working for vehicle maintenance and the jobs are done over here, well, the vehicle maintenance guy knows where to put him.
Right.
If he's sitting over here in fire and he gets done with the fire, who's telling him to go over here and work on these other vehicle maintenance jobs? Not saying that they're just going to be laying around, but who is coordinating that crossover? So I think that's a valid concern. I think it's a point to not move them over. And if you want to say, okay, you are just working on fire until otherwise known, fine. But when you move him over, if he does have, there's only so much mechanic work that can be done, I would think. Who's going to supervise him moving back?
I'll just note here that in those salaries that I mentioned, I included both positions as additions, which they're not. So technically, only one would be an addition. So that would be the diesel mechanic. So that would be subtracting that $46,000 since that's a unilateral move. But
So the 46,000 is from vehicle maintenance.
yeah, which let me make sure that it is 46.
And then the 46,000 is from vehicle maintenance, and then the 30,000 is the part-time person to answer the phones when somebody
Right.
isn't there.
And actually, so is that individual paid through a different fund then for vehicle maintenance? So the fire apparatus mechanic, when I go to page 8, which is vehicle maintenance, I'm not seeing
Him going
a
away.
decrease in 46,000 anywhere. So where would,
So you're saying this isn't somebody that's moving over?
That's not
because
what
there's
I'm
nobody leaving.
unless they're not paid through general fund? Am I right? Does that make sense?
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I look to you because you've got the experience.
You're correct.
Am I correct? Okay. Okay.
Vehicle maintenance would continue to have
What they currently have.
mechanic
Plus
position
one.
with the
Okay.
And they're asking for another.
Okay, so this is an addition. Okay.
The original one was right.
Okay, yes. I don't know where I thought I heard it was a transfer, but.
I think we were thinking that.
Well, they said it was a transfer.
shifting the person, but not the
Position,
Oh, okay.
position.
staying.
But that person's
Oh.
a diesel mechanic.
But
I
then
see.
vehicle maintenance is asking for a diesel mechanic.
So we are adding 2 positions then, one for fire, one for vehicle maintenance.
And the one we're taking from vehicle maintenance.
It's just the
is staying.
Okay,
Is what basically would look like it would be an open hire.
okay. All right. Sorry for that painful line of questioning.
Well, we'll try to get some clarification on the employees, but is there anything else that we need a question, or you,
Let me just look through my
of
notes.
course, that what's highlighted is the new positions plus the, the 457 match and the HSA do the contract for next year.
What's on the fire, near the bottom, the $20,000 lease payment that we didn't have before, but now we do? What's being leased for $20,000? That's quite a bit.
My understanding, those are staff vehicles, that was money was normally shifted from employee over to.
And I'm guessing that was done just to free up money in Lloyd that you wanted to spend otherwise.
Is everybody all right with that? Bringing that lease payment into the general fund?
Well, and I got a feeling they might have to start doing that more and more since our Lowit payments are going to be frozen because of the deal we made with the city. That may be more common than not. In the next, 4 years, we are frozen.
Well, your
In the
payments are
contract?
not necessarily going to be frozen, it's just
Oh, I thought we weren't getting I thought we were not getting an increase for 4 years.
That was the initial, what they initially were going to do.
Now we're just a
I think
little
we
bit.
are increasing at a lesser rate.
Right.
Okay,
That's lower rate.
okay.
That's really gonna take effect to what, 2019?
That's when it starts, right? Yeah.
Around issue will see less than, and it's not, we have to deal with the county. We have more money, but it's not nearly as.
Good, good.
Was the
Yeah, I
lease
mean-
payment for something in the future?
For, I guess they want to get a vehicle next year.
They said that was for
Leasing
staff
vehicle.
vehicles that used to be in Lowett and now it's not.
Staff.
We're
So
not-
big increase here
I'm
is
sorry
salaries.
for you right now, we're not gonna lease any vehicles, period, in this administration, until we get approval from the city council about that. So does that mean I come?
Les gets 2 gold stars.
Highlight it in the minutes, highlight it in the minutes.
You all can review all the leases and make a decision whether or not we should have new police cars and new fire trucks.
Ooh, you're in the gift-giving mood, Les.
Well, but he's talking about leasing. We put money in Lloyd where they would buy their
All of our
vehicles.
vehicles were
That-
purchased,
yeah.
straight up.
So now,
Except for the
but they got a
fire
good deal on, I guess, the number of, so they,
You're not purchasing those?
We leased them to buy for a dollar at the end of the lease.
Oh,
So we leased them for whatever.
yeah.
this is a man of action tonight. I like it. All right.
Kind of like,
Any other,
How long, what's the lifespan on a fire truck?
they can go forever.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, if you maintain them and they don't crash.
Yeah, who's gonna
I mean,
Yeah.
they usually don't.
who, any more questions on fire before we can move on to building commissioners so we can kind of keep this going? Is that okay? Yeah. Move on. Okay, we're moving on to the building commissioner, and as you all know, that, we are agreeing to pay which I didn't even not know that the building authority, the members never got a stipend or whatever, so for them a stipend, and then for Larry, well, the building commissioner director,
Boards, like,
increase coming out of the building authority fund.
different fund, you said? Okay.
Yep. That's not tax.
I see.
Yeah.
Is that like gaming or something?
So other than that, I think building commissioner is okay. So we can, if I got any questions about that, we'll move on to planning and zoning. Okay, Planning and zoning, we have asked for an increase for the director of 9,500. We have that additional planning and design supervisor. It's going to be a long and short term. They're going to have 2 planners. One's going to be for short-term planning, one's going to be for long-term planning.
And then with
That's what
the,
Nathan told me.
with the addition of another employee, they're also expecting overtime?
The overtime is for that Sean that attends all of the planning and zoning meetings.
Oh,
He's hourly, so that was something that was overlooked, and he does attend those, and we have to pay that, put that money in there since he's hourly.
great, thank you.
Do you have any thoughts in the increase for the director of 9,500?
I think it's quite an increase.
I agree. That sounds like
Well,
almost-
and I'm going to share with you, I even shared it with Nathan, which he does an excellent job. It's no reflection on him whatsoever. But when he came in, Shane Corbin had just gotten a $5,000 raise. And he only had that raise, I think a pay period or so, it was like within a month. And then when Nathan came in, he got 25% over what Shane was. So in my mind, I'm thinking he got a good increase at that time. So this is one of those that I'm not really not in support of.
Well, that
But
is
I'm
a
only one
15
of
and
nine.
that's a 15.5% rate.
Yeah, I
Yes.
just calculated, yeah. Yeah, and what the typical is 3?
Three, everybody.
Well,
got
the
three.
mayor has the, what's 3% to 5%, or for the mayor
It's a
can,
3% across the board, but it's.
the
a
mayor can give up,
discre-
no.
The mayor can, but also it's a discretionary. If you all approve the 3%, that the department head can give up to 5%, 7%.
Okay,
So I mean,
This budget only reflects a 3%,
right.
except for
But if we don't approve a change in the director's salary, then we need to reflect a change in that 3% because we need to add him into that.
that's in the performance pool.
Yeah, so a 3% increase would be just under 63,000. Would be what his salary would increase to.
So
Which
now
I think
if
that's
you-
a nice increase.
If you give him that amount kind of increase, how do you say no to the other department heads that are also asking for?
Which there are other department heads that
Yes,
are
it is.
asking for increases.
Yes, it is.
There are several that are asking for increases.
I know vehicle maintenance is, and that's the only one I know.
I mean, this is the budget that the mayor submitted, so he's the executive and governs the department heads.
Right.
I figured it was a flat percentage. They don't have.
Okay. Do you have any other questions concerning planning and zoning?
Okay.
So what I'm hearing is well, I only heard from a couple of them. Do the 3% for him, or do you,
I say 3% for him like you do everyone else.
What?
no, we're just talking, discussing.
I mean, if I'm looking at it, so, I mean, a 3% increase would be like less than $2,000, so we're talking about maybe a savings of $7,500, which pays for a fifth of the salary that he's asking for. So, I mean, that's.
Yeah.
He's asking for a $46,000 salary. So,
Right.
okay, that's a lot of money.
We already did city council. We will, finance department. Yvonne, I'll let you, I think, you want to cover anything in finance department since you're,
The software maintenance fees, we're taking that over from HR department, since we have to 20,000. But since we're using Kronos on iCloud, we're saving $5,000 for that, 15,000 from 20, and the HR budget from 15,000. That's the only significant change.
so I'm okay with it. Any questions concerning finance? And animal shelter. She really, she really cut her budget. She was, she didn't ask for any increase. It was
Well,
all.
and I'm looking at this, it looks like it's because, like, accrued benefits, in-purse, did some people that have been there a long time leave? Like how, I mean, how can,
Well, yeah, and then you have the, looks like maybe we purchased a vehicle last year and we won't have that same cost this year, so that's a decrease in 20,000, and then,
Medical supplies went up 23,000.
yeah, what's that about?
The,
Medical supplies,
mhm.
For the what?
They have on, every Wednesday, they have a vet that comes in and does surgeries.
So that's just increased
They-
services.
Hey,
he does surgeries or he does, like, he fixes?
both.
oh,
Because I knew they had that.
That's not like, I mean,
okay, we've kind of already been discussing vehicle maintenance. I know we have some questions there. Was it anything else y'all need to add other than what the discussion and the questions that we've already had? If not, we're going to move on to IT.
okay. Yeah, so, sorry, are we on vehicle maintenance? Or we skipped?
We can
Well,
do-
yeah, I asked if there was anything, we've pretty
I
much
was
been
just-
discussing that. I didn't know if there was anything additional before we moved on to IT.
I was just gonna make a note that here we have an $8,500 increase in pay requested, so.
Yep.
Several department heads asking for raises.
Yep.
Okay.
So IT, nothing really stood out to me. It's like a pretty solid budget, so anybody have any questions or see anything popping out to you there? We
No,
already went over city clerk.
nice.
Of course, police merit and fire merit, you do those budgets, correct, Vicki? Is there anything you need to,
No.
they all look okay to me?
Fire merit's changed a lot, it looks like.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah, and I work directly with the presidents of both
Yeah,
of those. And, on the legal services, the attorney, to be honest with you, we have a hard time getting him even to submit a claim. And he does it because he feels that's part of his community service. So they request to lower it that way if they need to go. The advertisement, we increased it.
What-
Everything's pretty much the same.
what's accounting for the increase in travel? Almost 10,000.
On the fire merit,
Yeah, are they expecting like a,
what that is if they, new firefighters come in, or they have to do,
like a
the
training?
testing and stuff, we have to bring people in, they have to bring people in from Indianapolis.
So how have we
See,
been
it's
paying?
not, you know, they only used 300 this year, so.
Okay, so we're just
And
maybe
if we have to send
expecting.
off new hires up to Indianapolis for testing, I would send that too.
Okay. So that's maybe just a conservative number.
Yes.
Then in safety, we have requests in the safety manager's salary, and keep in mind that's, I think he's requesting 3,500 from general and then 3,500 from
Sewer,
sewer.
yeah.
But other than that, it looks like he increased contractual services.
So this, so I'm looking at safety manager, 3,500, and he's requesting another 3,500, so that's 7,000?
Yes,
Mhm.
Now, but we're only paying half his salary, right? So this 32,231 is being matched by,
yes, sewer.
okay.
Well, it's not being, he gets 50% from sewer.
Yeah,
Right, and if this is 50%, that means you'd have to double it, so he's making like 64 or whatever.
he's asking for like 71.
And he's asking for 7,000, which is a 12% raise.
That is correct. Okay, so we'll move on to HR, which, you know, that 22,000 that's coming out, that's that Chronos that we moved to finance. I think pretty much when I went over her budget, nothing really,
Is the decrease in salaries just from a new person, or? Like, is it, are they just, I'm assuming that's not an existing employee, so,
Yeah, it is.
oh.
She
The
has
issue.
to make that, it's announced when she's retired, she's actually,
I see, okay,
well, she's, I think retired from another services department.
I see.
okay. All right. Anybody has any questions?
Are you on
Sorry.
human resources?
Yes.
What
HR.
is the 22,000, we went from spending 32 to saying we're going to spend 10 on contractual services. Are we no longer having a major contract with somebody?
No, that's where we moved the
This is all the funds.
Chronos into finance.
Okay.
Mhm. I don't see it.
Okay. I think as far as running through the budget, we'll stop there. I got almost a quarter till 7. Wanted to see if, Larry, do we want to wait till another?
Usually,
noted, first email talking about spending funds in indebtedness, and you all, as the council, engaging in activities to accrue debt, and it has to be a statutory, there has to be something statutory that allows you to initiate debt. Les provided some statutes that he thought were relevant and talked about the council being able to engage in bond indebtedness. And I know it shocks no one, if 3 lawyers in the room, we're all have 3 different ideas about what all means. But I don't disagree with Les that certainly you as the council always have to vote to accrue debt because you are the fiscal body. So all that fiscal activity comes through you. How does it get to you? So I believe that, and you all tell me if I misunderstood, I believe the question was, could the fiscal body request that a bond indebtedness be issued for a project? Right? Is that what it was?
It's to pay for the new chapel project, sidewalk project and the Spring Street project.
And the answer is yes, but I believe, unless we disagree, that project has to come from a department or from the executive to you. And all of the work has to be done to put you in a place where there's can be sold. Which, I mean, somebody has to do all the engineering, someone has to present that, and I think, I'm going to look historic. And by the way, Callie, when you said you looked ahead because of his experience, you really mean to say you look at us because we're old?
No, experience,
Well, we are old.
wisdom.
Okay, that's very kind. So, I think historically, that is what happens, and you all could either bond or not, but I think that I think the executive has to bring that to you, because I don't believe you all have the ability to hire bond counsel, do the things that are necessary to begin the process of getting a bond.
I think I explained that when we presented the budget, that, that's a bond before, just because you budget the money for bond payment doesn't mean you're going to have a bond. There would have to be a bond ordinance that would be adopted by council. We go through a long process, and ultimately, council would have to decide whether or not they want to issue the bond. But for purposes of budgeting, something has to be in there for a bond payment. And clearly the statute says that the city council can borrow money, and that they can also borrow money by issuing bonds. But any revenue that you have at your disposal to satisfy those bonds, and added one revenue that you have, the added statute clearly says that added dollars can be pledged to satisfy bonds for economic development projects. Among the definitions of the economic development project is infrastructure. So, just because you, I guess, answer really is, just because you put the money in the budget doesn't mean you're going to bond. But going to bond, you're going to have a
Money budget.
So it's like the chicken or the egg here. I mean, this is.
It's the same end result, different process.
Just, and the reason you have bonding is, that's a mechanism for municipalities to fund large projects.
We're not going to incur fees for bond counsel and financial advisors unless we feel comfortable that
It's going to be budgeted.
counsel to issue a bond.
The planning department would be the department that has presented it to us over, and they're the ones that do the initial presentation to the council.
I do disagree with Larry. I think if the council wanted to do its own bond, you can do your own bond. I mean,
But that's not what we're doing.
yeah, that's not what you're doing.
I was good to sell it to anybody.
Well, no, I mean, if for some reason if the city becomes in financial dire straits, and as a fiscal body, if they decide they need to go out and bond, borrow money. They can, or they can do a bond, yeah, a bond anticipation note, which is the same thing as borrowing, so.
But it's the intent of the administration to do these two projects.
Yes.
So
And we have
that would satisfy what Mr.
we
Ross
have
said.
firm estimate costs of what both projects are going to cost, so there's no question is possible.
We have estimates.
One is through the planning department, one is through the engineering department. Who did new jack, Rob? That satisfied the department? And then
So here's the thing, if the department is presenting a project to you as a board, council, and their presentation of that to you is they want that project to go forward, and a bond being the mechanism for funding it, then you can begin to look at it as that being a mechanism for funding. But this is where Les and I kind of, I think we agree, but we don't. And I think what Justin's saying is the answer. If the department is bringing that to you and saying, here's the project, here's the cost, and we want you as the fiscal body to bond, then you have the ability to do that. And that commitment means that money goes only to that project. See, that's where Les and I have the difference. I don't think you could just go out and say, we're going to bond do a project that we want to do because you don't have the ability to figure it out and do it. Gotta have somebody out there saying, we are going to do it. And there he is, the guy that's going to do it, because now that we talked about it.
Just in time for all the
he gets
fun.
elected to do the job.
But the plan to do that is that it would be paid for, but we would have to approve it, and then we would pay for it.
We're just talking about the
You're talking about
proposed
the email that
bond.
went out.
Yeah, I don't know why the way it caused.
Should have walked slower.
Yeah, you should have. I think so.
Got a drink of water, anything.
It is hot. I know, it is hot
It's
here.
simple, the issue is you either want to do the bond or you don't want to do the bond,
You
so.
turn the air down.
And if you say you want to do the bond, then all the steps go Yeah, if you want to do the bond, you put the money in the budget and we can
Well,
get the process.
I'm burning up.
It's like
He just
transfer.
walked in and said,
Bond
"Oh."
ordinances. If you don't want to do the bond, then don't put it in the budget.
And I think probably the difference is usually it gets to you in a different way. How it gets to you is, okay, here's what we want you to do. This is our project coming from whoever, the executive or the department. Here's the project and here's the engineering that we've already done. And we want you to issue, we're going to give you a bond ordinance and we want you to adopt the bond ordinance.
That's what it said.
How's that, right?
That's what we can do that, but then you're going to have to do an additional appropriation if you decide you want to do the bond. You're going to have to do an additional appropriation next year to pay for your
Bond payment.
bond payment.
Yeah.
Well, as fascinating as all that is,
It's not really fascinating.
Sounds like the most
even though one of these two projects is in my district, I just cannot bring myself to a place to where I'm going to commit 20% of our edit funds for the next 20 years to two projects that are not a dire necessity right now. If we can find another way to pay for them, we can find another way to pay for them. I, for one, would be voting no. If this was presented to me as a package and I had to swallow this pill, I would vote no, even though one of the projects is in my district.
What about 10-year bond?
So, this shows how bad I am at math. So a 10-year bond would be 40% of our revenue?
I mean,
Or
you'd
maybe
pay-
more than
you'd
that.
pay slightly less in interest, but you'd still have,
Is there no other way to finance this project out of it?
We could do a 10-year bond with a more substantial upfront payment, but we would have to be willing to have a budget that wasn't balanced. We would have to spend reserve money upfront in order to not have 40% committed out of edit. Or we could approach it with a ban.
With a what? I'm sorry.
With a ban, a bond anticipation note, what we've done in the past, that would probably still require some money up front. out of reserves, but it's,
What's the
We can still
difference?
pass
I'm
a
not
balanced budget.
educated.
Same.
We
A
can
ban has to be paid within
use
5
the
years. It's all
surplus
different.
funds
yeah,
this year,
well, that's true.
and we'll still pass a balanced budget.
I see.
Then you have to issue.
That's true. So Mr. White suggests
It's that payment, but you're.
doing an additional appropriation for a first payment this year and keep the budget balanced, just
Which we
either
have
with
five
different
million
terms or
in 5
with a band payment instead of a bond payment.
We'll have to have a lot further, another workshop.
Please, you
I
may
guess
say
this-
that there are other ways to fund
That's
it.
a
What
lot
other
of
ways are?
debt.
Well, he just offered another way.
Two?
What do you have in your mind?
In my mind, it includes budgeting, and then also we would have to look at using reserve dollars. To me, that's, which I haven't really had a chance to sit, because I sat down with Heather and Yvonne and talked the budget stuff. I haven't got to look at other, funding or, to look through the budget. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, we've got two projects, both projects sit in a TIF district. One sits in the TIF district in the urban enterprise zone. Spring Street's not in a TIF district, it's not in,
Only part of the Spring Street project is, I think. I don't think the Claysburg portion is, but I might be wrong.
You could still use TIP dollars for
You
it.
could, absolutely.
I've been on councils, met a number of councils, and been here for a number of years, and there's always more need than the resources we have. And what we've always done in the past is try to stay within our means and not obligate future years for projects like this. I mean, it's a streetscape project, it's a sidewalk project, there's big needs, and there will be another need tomorrow, and I'm not sure why these projects are so important and so needed that we need to front load these projects and do them. If not, let's make a big list and let's bond big, let's go big. Let this council go $15 million in debt, and let's really hit this city hard with sidewalks and streetscape.
That would not be balanced budget.
I bet you we can make it balance. If we could find, $800,000 a year to pay for a big bond, or $700,000 a year to pay for a big bond, let's just go big, and then let's obligate future councils and their budgets, and we can walk away saying, we did all these great projects. I do not want to do that, no.
Oh, okay.
I say, I do not want to do that either. I didn't know where you were going with that.
No, so where I'm going.
Making an exaggerated point.
Yeah, I'm exaggerating
Okay.
point. Okay, why are these projects so important that we're going to indebt the city and our
He's
taxpayers
dramatizing
and
his
future
point.
councils, exactly, for the next 10 or 20 years? To me, it's a ridiculous argument. There's a lot of need. There's a lot of need in a lot of areas in the city, and we need to be patient. We need to budget our money appropriately, and we need to look at the resources we have, be it redevelopment, be it grants, be it UEZ, be it our own edit dollars.
What we have here is, so I submitted an additional appropriation. Tried to start funding
Go,
the
buddy,
project,
go.
which was shot down. We didn't know why we were doing it. It needed to be a part of the budget process. And now we have the project in the budget process, and you're saying, well, we should spend within our means and only spend what we have.
It's only our
That's
budget
what-
because we're going in debt.
I wasn't finished. So we weren't
You're
going in.
misrepresenting.
We weren't going in debt when I submitted the additional appropriation, and it was surplus dollars, and it wasn't a part of the budget. So, but then that was shot down. So, I mean, what do we want?
Well, we're gonna need another, because we've got, I got 3 minutes to 7. So I guess
We're building a sidewalk.
we need to
Oh, fine.
schedule some further workshops. We can do that during our council comments. But we definitely need to schedule several more workshops. One, I think, is going to be just for this topic.
Can make
I
a
agree.
suggestion?
Yes.
Leave everybody with a thought. So it seems that at this point, it might not be a bad idea if the administration would be willing to use its connections with the financial institutions, but who you are, it used to be,
As Umball?
Umball, what's the question? Well, I mean, to get somebody
Umball.
that's in that world of
To give some
finance,
options.
to be able to say, here's what a bond's gonna cost.
That's what we've done.
I'm not saying
Yeah,
that.
we've done it.
So you have that, okay, Yes, so that's, I'm I'd all, like to these, see these, that. these numbers come from Humboldt.
This was from last year.
5.7.
I think-
Oh, it's from last year.
5.7 million for
The one that
20.
you all did, that we saw, that I have
Can you
copies of,
skip
is from
it?
last year.
No, the numbers that, the number that's reflected in the budget for the edit, for this bond, that number comes from Humboldt doing the numbers on current revenue.
The bond built in.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yes.
I think Matt wants to say something, then I'm gonna wrap up the workshop.
I apologize for coming in late, but I did want to just point out my thought on the whole projects and bonding and that sort of thing. I think bonding for 20 years is, against edit revenue, is a very long time, and it's kind of hard for me to stomach also. But I would point out on your 12-line statement, in the general fund, funds remaining, surplus funds remaining, line 17 is $7.1 million, or 25% of reserve, with a target level of 15%, which is 4.2. I would be in favor of at least having Umball or whoever the administration uses have us look into using $2 million or $2.1 million out of the reserves to get the projects, plural, started, and then see what financing options, what terms we could come up with on bonding on a shorter scale or a shorter timeline, or using a bond anticipation note to keep finance charges low enough to pay off the principal within a few years. But utilizing 2.1 million still keeps us at $5 million in reserves, plus the $4 million that's in the rainy day fund, $4.6 million that's in the rainy day fund. That still gives us almost $10 million in reserves at the end of the day. And I think that's something that should be looked into and presented to the council as an option to finance these types of things.
Is the 15% suggestion coming from DLGF? Like,
I think so. I think that's
the 15% surplus?
right.
Yes.
So that's just all I had. Sorry for being late
We're
again.
gonna
Take a recess.
go ahead and wrap up the workshop, so I motion to adjourn.
Second, or me, motion? Yes?
I was gonna say,
Go.
workshop adjourned.